It is 7:01 p.m. on Tuesday, August 15th, 2023. I'd like to call the regular meeting of Sycamore Township Board of Trustees to order. If everyone would please rise for the invocation, given tonight by Mr. Kellums.
Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion while respecting each other's opinions. Allow us to grow closer as a group, Father, and nurture the bonds of our community. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Would you please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Dieters would note that all three trustees are present. The first order of business is approval of the minutes from August 1st, 2023 public hearing and the August 1st, 2023 trustee meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes from the public hearing on August 1st, 2023.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Dieters.
Mr. James.
Aye.
Ms. Schwegman.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye. Motion to approve trustee meeting minutes from August 1st, 2023.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Dieters.
Mr. James.
Aye.
Ms. Schwegman.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Next up, we have a proclamation designating September as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. Mr. Weedman.
Okay, proclamation in recognition of Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas ovarian cancer claims more women's lives than any other gynecologic cancer, and whereas the American Cancer Society estimates that in 2023, over 19,710 women will be diagnosed with ovarian cancer and approximately 13,270 will perish from the disease. And whereas ovarian cancer is difficult to detect and women are often not diagnosed until the disease has reached an advanced stage. And whereas early diagnosis of ovarian cancer can increase the survival rate to as high as 93%. And whereas certain factors can reduce the risk of ovarian cancer and play an important role in its prevention. And whereas awareness and early detection of ovarian cancer is the best means of protecting women's lives from the disease. And whereas the board further wishes to recognize and honor the thousands of women who battle valiantly against the disease and to further encourage them in their daily struggles. Now therefore, in commendation of all the women and their families fighting the disease, the board hereby proclaims September 2023 as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month in Sycamore Township, and the board calls upon all citizens, agencies, organizations, healthcare providers, and research institutions to raise ovarian cancer awareness and continue helping Americans live longer, healthier lives. I make a motion for approval of the proclamation.
And I second that.
Any discussion?
No, this is
I think this is
a
just an
wonderful
all.
thing to draw awareness to.
Completely agree. I don't know if we need to do an all in favor or roll call vote, but let's just go with the roll call vote.
Mr. James.
Aye.
Ms. Schwegman.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye. And I will just say that I'm on the board of the Ovarian Cancer Alliance of Greater Cincinnati, and we have 2 events a year, and we just passed $2 million in research funds. So we are,
Congratulations.
and we really we're actually one of the biggest providers of research funds to the Ovarian Cancer Research Center at University of Pennsylvania. We've gotten it was our money who started the one individual research project that's becoming pretty successful, and it was actually used in similarly in lung cancer and was pretty successful in lung cancer. So we're fortunate that we've been able to raise a lot of money for ovarian cancer research. So
Congratulations and well done.
mm-hmm.
Next on the agenda is public comments. Do we have anybody signed up for public comments this evening?
Yes, we do. It's Miss Susan Bell of 12093 Snyder Road.
Miss Bell, if you'd like to step up to the podium, I think he's already given you your name and address, but if you'd like to again give it for the record, that would be very helpful. Make sure we get it right in the record, and we look forward to your comments.
Susan Bell is my name, and I live on the edge of your area. but I'm still in Sycamore Township, 12093 Snyder Road, and 45249. And because that's where I live, I came to comment on the horrendous intersection. Tom might remember last summer, early in the summer, I ran into you at the Harper Kroger.
Yes.
And we both agreed that the one of the four pieces of property that is under Sycamore Township jurisdiction, that's 4 different jurisdictions at the intersection that I live close to. Only one is your concern. I'm concerned about all 4, but tonight I'm coming to speak about the Sycamore Township one. Whoever lives on Fields Erdel on that corner, it's been a new person for the last 2 to 3 years. It looks like you're driving into a ghetto to look at that property and the one that is in Deerfield Township right across the street. They're horrid looking. And a lot of us have nice property along Snyder and wish we had an HOA at a time like this, but we don't. I don't know why. Here we are at another year, and it looks actually a little bit worse because now there are logs laying around.
That's correct.
And I've talked to, not you yet, but I hope to. Here I was early. I could have come over and said my piece. But I've talked to John Ray. I commend you on John Reagan.
He's a great guy.
He is great. I'm glad. I understand he used to be in maintenance. He's good with public.
He's very good, yes.
As is Amy at the front desk.
Absolutely.
Now Kevin admitted that he hadn't been to that intersection recently, and I don't blame him. Number one, it's ugly, and it's been backed up with road construction. I want to know, so what? They'll eventually get a lien on their property? I don't understand. Number one, I never knew it took a complaint before Kevin would go there, but that's what I've been told. Now, a few doors up from there is Snap-on truck. If you've ever driven along that part of Snyder, you can't miss the Snap-on truck. It's bigger than a billboard, and it's against the law. I didn't know that. Doesn't seem like I should have to file a complaint about that. It seems like if Kevin would see it, I just think it's a little bit of a backward system. So those are my 2 issues. The property that's been going on for a couple of years. I'd like to see a policeman, somebody come in uniform and go to their door. I think they might get the weed whacker out. Apparently you all vote on it at some point.
We do, and we have voted on that corner property. That's a frequent offender. We've cut their lawn multiple times,
I know.
and
I bet they haven't paid the bill.
well, it goes on their tax bill. But the reality is, I agree with you, and they got those logs all piled up there now. I think they must have cut down a tree and left the logs. Is that what happened?
Yeah, but theirs isn't the only one. Hamilton County and Warren, who are,
Right?
they left those logs, and I guess hoping people would come pick them up for free, and some have been picked up. But that's not the only yard that has logs in it. They're all over the
Well, theirs are sitting in the center
area.
of their lawn too.
There's what?
They're sitting in the center of the yard as well, which, I mean, like you say, when you come around the corner, when you come to that intersection and you look at that property, it doesn't fit with everything else.
No.
It definitely doesn't. I agree
And
with that.
honestly, the one in Deerfield is almost worse. And it's nobody, well, someone lives there, but I don't know if they're squatters or what. But the people that did live there, but that's not your concern. I'll go to Deerfield on that one.
The first thing tomorrow, I'll talk to John and Kevin, and I'll have Kevin go out. We can go take a look at the property and start the process. The due process to seek enforcement of both properties.
Okay. But then, do I have any hope that something will be done? I believe the people that have the Snap-on truck, they'll move it. I'm guessing they didn't know that it couldn't be there.
Yeah, certainly. We will review each case and take it through the correct process. Recently, the township passed new a text change that would allow for criminal misdemeanor citations. So there's a Hamilton County Housing Court that adjudicates just housing matters, so we have that availability of the docket. I'm not sure if this would be appropriate for that, but we can take a look, and it's just a new tool that we have, and we can take a look at it and take it from there. Certainly, it wouldn't be fixed overnight. We go through our due process, time periods, but it certainly will be on our list to enforce.
Although I guess you could hire someone to cut it in the meantime.
Yeah, and if it's a high grass matter, we could take it through our nuisance complaint procedure, and we'll have someone cut it, and then levy the taxes on or levy the lien on the tax bill.
So when you have a lien on your house, so what? When you sell it, you have to pay it or something?
Clean it.
I mean, that doesn't help me.
Well, it's really our only recourse, because otherwise it's not
know.
going to get cut. And it's a bad situation, but it's the best we can do with it.
Yeah, I know.
And with the availability of a housing court now too, we can actually cite through that, can't we? So there could be fines that are more immediate.
What is that?
With the new changes we made to our zoning code that enable us to do the criminal citations and go to housing court, we can also get relief through that more immediately than just putting it on the tax bill and having them have to pay it sometime far off in the future. They can be cited now for it.
I think, as Mr. Ucutter said, there's always a process that we like to go through to give the homeowner the opportunity to be responsive and responsible and to clean up their property. But if not, we do have these other remedies available to us. So we certainly do appreciate you bringing those to our attention. And I know that John
And again, this is the second
Kevin.
summer that we've dealt with it.
Yep.
I think they only move. I don't even know if they rent or own.
Is that? I don't know if that's a rental or
I
not.
don't know.
Pardon?
I don't know if it's a rental or not. I'm not sure.
I don't know either.
We'll work to find out.
But I'd like to see someone in uniform go stick something on the door. They're almost never there, and when they are, there are three of them, 3 men. It looks like.
I see.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you very much,
you.
Al.
Will I hear back from you, or I've been communicating with, I forget who
Mr.
John.
Reagan, John Reagan.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think does he have your number?
Probably.
I'll talk to John tomorrow, and we'll be certainly back in touch with the next steps we take on both
Okay.
properties. So.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
for your time, and good job on your hires.
Oh yes, yes. John's wonderful.
Thanks for coming out this evening.
Thanks.
Next on the agenda, is that the only individual that we have signed up for public comments this evening?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Sheriff's report.
I don't have anything this evening, unless you guys have any questions.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Chief, that means you're up next.
The only thing I have is the radio system that you guys approved a couple months ago. They've been, the last couple of weeks, been installing and upgrading the system, and hopefully in the next week we'll have that finished up. We'll be on our new system.
Nice.
That's all I got.
Planning and zoning report. Back to you, Mr. Ucutter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We just have one appointment to the BZA on June 28th, 2023. Mr. Jeff Heidel announced his resignation from the Sycamore Township Board of Zoning Appeals. We certainly appreciate his service. Staff recommends a motion for the following. The elevation of Michael Schwartz, the current alternate, to the seat recently vacated by Mr. Heidel, term ending on December 31st, 2024. Mr. Schwartz is the Deputy Director for Current Planning at the Northern Kentucky Area Planning Commission, so he certainly knows his way around a Board of Zoning Appeals. And in Mr. Schwartz's place, if he's elevated, staff recommends the appointment of Sycamore Township resident Anthony Ramacone to the Board of Zoning Appeals alternate position, up to the seat vacated by Mr. Schwartz, which the term ends December 31st, 2023. Mr. Ramacone is an attorney at Taft, Stettinius, and Hollister LLP.
Larry, do we need just a motion on that, or?
Just a motion.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we move Michael Schwartz from alternate to active to replace Jeff Heidel. And I will, do we need two separate ones?
You can do it with one motion.
Okay. And I would also make a motion that we that we ask Anthony Ramacone to serve as the alternate.
And I will second that single motion, right?
My only comment would be that we do so, we elevate these individuals in the, for the terms that you outline.
Yes.
Yes.
That being said, any other discussion? Mr. Jeters?
Mr. James?
Aye.
Ms. Schwagman?
Aye.
Mr. Weedman?
Aye.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Roads, Maintenance, and Recreation Report. Mr. Rudelschoffer.
Okay, good evening. Start with the Parks and Rec report. I'd like to report that the large play set at Bob Meyer Park has been closed and will be removed due to safety concerns. Today we met with Game Time, our playground contractor, to discuss options for replacing the large play set. Game Time is going to present a proposal for a small play set and a couple standalone pieces. We will evaluate the proposal once received and provide feedback to the contractor. Current lead time on equipment is 8 to 10 weeks. If the trustees choose to move forward, I would anticipate this being a late fall or early next year project. It should be noted that the swing sets and other play set are open in the park. Just the large play set is closed. And I would like to remind everybody that we have a nice new playground behind the administration building here. I'd like to mention the car show a couple Saturdays ago.
Hey, Stevie, before you go off Bob Meyer, do we have somebody that's going to go trim those trees where the swing set, that's kind of encroaching into the swing set on that one corner?
Yes, we can address that
Okay.
issue. Yep.
Also, before you go on to the car show, in our last meeting, I had asked about possibly some sort of shelter back here. I'm thinking like a tent or an awning, nothing
I
expensive.
looked into prices. They range between $5,000 and $7,000.
To put up like a large tailgating tent even as a temporary structure?
Well, a temporary structure, I don't know how that would be secured. I would imagine one storm, it would end up over on Kugler Mill Road. So I don't know how we could do a temporary canopy type. I looked into the permanent canopy types, and as I said, they range 5,000 to 7,000. So if the board would like me to pursue that further, I can look into it.
I'll take a look around at some options too, and I'll talk to you about it.
Okay.
So, thank you though. Yeah.
The car show was held a couple Saturdays ago. I believe we had over 100 participants, which was like the largest in 5 or 6 years, I believe.
Yeah, that's
from
nice.
Jason, what
It was
Jason
great.
Petty was saying.
Great event.
A lot of neat cars, great turnout, great weather. So I'd just like to compliment the Parks and Rec staff for doing a great job with that. Roads report. I'd like to provide an update on the Townships 2023 road program. The contractor has finished the south section of the township, and today they started on the north section. I've received some compliments from our residents, and they appreciated that the roads were being improved. I also received some criticism of the quality of work in some areas and the lack of communication from the contractor. I was aware of both issues and been working daily with the contractor to address those issues. I'm anticipating that the areas that need to be repaired will be done as part of the punch list items once the north section is completed. The contractor has not been paid a dime yet and won't until we are satisfied with the work. I would like to stress that the township has had great success using this product over the past 15 years. Our road condition ratings are tops in the area, and I would put our road condition ratings up against any other jurisdiction in the state. After this project is completed, I'm going to have a conversation with administration to discuss possibly adjusting our road program, preservation program to ensure that the product is being on our roads that are ideal candidates for this type of treatment.
I appreciate your diligence looking
Yep.
into those items. I know that you know, we've all heard from some residents. I know I've driven several of those neighborhoods several times. And I know that your team has been aware of some of the issues throughout the process, and I know that I certainly appreciate it, and I think the residents do too, that you guys are on top of that, the supplier, the vendor, and are working to ensure that we get a satisfactory
Yeah.
finished product from them
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, I think we've
Thank
all
you.
heard from a lot of residents about some of this, but the work is still in progress. I drove through Sandy Mar and Lindquist today because recently we heard from somebody on there, and there are some areas in there that need a lot of punch list work,
Yeah.
let's say, but other parts look very nice.
Yes.
And it takes a little time, I understand, from
Yeah.
cars driving over it to
Yeah.
smooth out anyway, so.
Yep, yep. And I spoke to a resident, Sturbridge, today, and he agreed. He said, you know, there's a couple areas that look good, but compared to last week, he's a lot better with the results. So I would continue those to keep improving. So, yeah.
Stevie, let's just use Pepperell tees into Sturbridge. I noticed that all of those tees along Sturbridge had a 1 lane wide with gravel still sitting there. Are they done with that?
Yes, they put the sand and gravel, the grit down to prevent any marking of the pavements from the turning of the wheels, you know, when you're turning your steering wheel, so it doesn't mark up.
Is that still
Personally,
loose?
we were back in there today sweeping it up,
Okay.
so
Okay.
we had our new street sweeper in action today.
Nice.
Doing a quick cleanup. I would anticipate a more thorough cleanup probably after leave season, maybe sooner, you know, where
Okay.
we can put up the no parking signs and really get in there and get everything real good. So.
And the end of Westovers are really a mess. Hopefully they can figure out how to fix
Yeah,
it.
yes, that is.
That's probably
Yeah.
the worst area.
Yeah, yeah, and most of the problem areas are where they had to do a lot of handwork, where they can't get the paving
Right.
machine in there.
Mhm.
So
I mean, I get it.
yeah,
Still, it's-
you know, it's yeah, and that's what Tracy and I, Kellums and I noticed that, you know, going out there, it's a lot of the handwork is subpar to say.
There was also a complaint about them doing the entire road. I think we fixed that problem, correct?
Yeah,
The time,
Yeah, we
Okay.
fixed that.
yeah.
Okay, good.
They did a better job than that up north today.
Good.
That's
So,
right.
Yeah.
You know, we have an inspector with them, basically babysitting them now.
Good.
So, because luckily the Gideon Road project's done, so he's not wrapped up in there. He's got more time to
Yep.
devote to it. You know, we don't do this project every year, but if you remember, and you know, sometimes it's easy to forget, we have these kind of complaints every time we use this product. In the long run, it's a great product. It has extended our payments from 12 to 20 plus years at a third of the price. So we've had great success. Steve has done a great job staying on top of the contractor. We've got there's some new management and some new labor forces that apparently have not done a lot of residential. You know, they're like used to being on state routes.
Okay.
So I think they were a little overwhelmed themselves with the amount of driveways and not knowing how to deal with the traffic. But I think we've got them straightened out. Steve's done a great job along with our inspector of getting that straightened out and improving their system. But
Yeah, there's some
believe me,
areas
it
that look
will
great.
all be improved by the time they leave those bad spots. But 90% of it, 95% is in good shape.
I mean, the cutouts around
you
the
know,
sewers are great.
Cul-de-sacs
the
are
Main
rough.
Street.
They can't get
Yep.
their machines in there. Intersections in the beginning, they were really having a problem with, and I think Steve will agree that the intersections have gotten a lot better. The cul-de-sacs, we went out and saw a couple today. Cul-de-sacs look really good. So I think it was a learning process for their crew, really.
Good.
As part of the punch list work, will they be clearing the pink paint that's on the curbs too, where they marked things, or do we have to wait for that to fade over time? There are a lot of spots they actually mark with arrows and
That will
numbers.
fade, yes. In what they were doing, they were marking the distance from the curb to the center line of the manhole, because they have to cover the manholes with a plastic sheeting as they put the product over the manholes, and they peel the manholes, so they have to know where the location is.
How long will that take to fade?
Yeah,
Wait a
2
minute.
months.
Okay.
As long as it stops raining and the sun comes
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
It'll fade quicker.
Just like all the markings for gas and water and sewer that we've
Right.
got everywhere else on all our new
Oh, yeah.
roads and
They will
curves.
go
Yeah.
away.
All those OUPS markings.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
As long as they don't start cutting on it.
Yep.
Any other questions regarding? Okay. Montgomery Road sidewalk improvements. A quick update on that. The contractor is waiting on the caps, top caps for the two retaining walls located at the intersection of Stewart. They're on back order for 3 weeks. Once the caps are in, they will be installed and the project will be completed.
Everything's on back order.
Gideon Lane Culvert Project. The project is completed and the road is open to traffic.
Drove on it today.
Congratulations.
The only complaint that I received was the resident at the culvert location wanting the road to remain closed. He liked no traffic going past his house.
On the
He
north
said-
side?
Yeah.
That's funny.
He said, "Steve, can you leave the barricade up?"
That's pretty good.
So, and I approved this week, I approved the permit for the fiber optics underground for the
Perfect.
Cincinnati Bell.
I was going to ask you that. Perfect.
And they are putting overhead down further past Brittany Woods.
Yes.
Yes, overhead wires, yep. Well, that's all I have.
Thank you, Steve. Law Director report.
Unless there are any questions, I don't have anything to report.
All right. Well, thank you, Larry. Administrator report, Mr.
Jeff,
Helms.
do you have the packet on the, so I believe you all received the flock camera agreement to look over. We've talked about this before. This was the proposal that we got back from Flock. As you remember, they're using our cameras. We have 8 cameras throughout Kenwood that we are going to let them use so that we can save money. It costs us $1,500 a camera rather than $3,000. So it's $12,000. It's $12,500 for the first year because of $500 setup fee, and then the annual recurring after that is $12,000. So this contract total is $24,500, but only obviously $12,500 will be paid this year out of that. So I know we've talked about this before. I don't know if you have any questions. Just looking for a motion to approve this. We have basically, I met with Mike. John Estelle worked with Flock as far as making sure that all our cameras would work and they were able to get views that they liked. I worked with Mike Tarr to actually locate the ones. We sat down, looked at them, saw what we could see. We've pretty much got the whole Kenwood triangle covered with those. You're not going to get in and out of there without being seen.
I'll make a motion to approve the flock cameras for Kenwood.
To approve the contract, I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I do have a question. So who will actually have access to the flock data or to the video images? Will that simply be the sheriff's department? Will that be township staff, zoning people,
and
anybody? What?
The way we've set this up with the other townships is the county will purchase this and you will reimburse the county. It'll be an amendment to your contract. So you don't
That's
have to
not
worry.
how we're doing it.
That's not how
We're
you're doing it.
paying for it.
Oh, you're paying for
It's not going through the contract.
it. Okay. Then
But I don't think that changes as far as you having the control of the cameras.
I'm not sure on that.
I
I think that's right, Tracy.
Well, and I think this agreement even makes note of the fact that Flock doesn't own nor do they sell any customer-generated data, and it does overwrite every 30 days, I believe is what this agreement says. Unless there's a specific request for it to not overwrite, that there's a reason why the sheriffs
Right.
wish to hold on that data.
I'm just wondering who else may have access to it, like.
Oh, no, nobody.
Nobody else.
Okay.
Maybe a public record, we wouldn't want to go on record as saying it's not.
Right, it might well be public record. If we got a request for images from the flock camera for a particular period of time, for a particular camera, is that something we then need to respond to? Because if there's an accident,
Well, if they will write each other 30 days, they'd have to do it soon.
yeah, but if they do ask in time, we'd have to have a mechanism to preserve it then also.
We would not, they would. It's not coming into here.
Okay, well, that was part of my question,
Yeah.
is would it be accessible here in the township? So it's your understanding it would not?
It is my understanding it would not.
Okay. I think that's.
We
something
will
need
check
to-
on that for
need to
sure,
know.
but yeah, I mean, that would go along with the record, what rest of our records requested for, our other cameras. Because those are on our policy as far as, we just keep them, I believe it's 10 days, I think, our camera.
10 or 14.
Is it 14?
It might be 14. It's 10 or 14, one of the two.
Side note, is that covered in our record retention policy?
It is.
For the camera, okay, thank you. Okay.
So we've had
We have a motion.
discussion, we have a motion, a second, we've had discussion. Any additional discussion? Mr. Dieters?
Mr. James?
Aye.
Ms. Schwagman?
Aye.
Mr. Weedman?
Aye. Mike, while we're on this, I just want to thank you for, I had lunch with Sheriff McCuffey last week, and she says that you've put some pressure on her for for flock cameras in High Point, and she's promised me that next year we're going to get those, so hopefully that's the case.
Good job, Mike.
No comment. Hey, if it were for me, we'd have cameras everywhere. No, it's actually, it's turning out to be an extremely helpful tool, all across the county. Really, it's changing the way we can investigate things, like we hadn't imagined, so I'm glad.
It's great.
That's great.
Going forward with this.
Now, as far as the ones that are, that will be up north, are there neighboring jurisdictions that have them up there also? And then
Yep.
down here, we have quite a few.
So, Sims, just will be getting put up next month, I believe. They finally we sent the location to Fox. So Sims has them,
Cherville.
I believe so.
I think Cherville has
Whenever you
those.
meet with Flock, so like when Sims met with Flock, there were certain locations we didn't hit in Sims because Loveland had already hit those. So
Okay.
they make sure you don't overlap.
Overlap.
And so, yes, that
Great.
that won't happen. And we've actually, like Loveland and Sims actually coordinated on something. So, you hit this, we'll hit this. Just because we all share access to the data.
Sure.
Wonderful. All right. If there's no other questions about Flock, Focus Capital Solutions, I called George Glover. We talked about the billing last time. He said he was not aware. He would check with his billing department. If, as you saw, there was a bill in there for the first 8 months. Obviously, their billing department dropped the ball, so they have caught up and sent the invoice. But also met with Mr. Glover and Mr. Weedman. We talked about the capital budget for Veterans Memorial. We are starting to put something together there, which will include a veterans group along with some, because if you remember at the festival, we had put together, we had a booth that had a display. We collected names of individuals that were interested, so we're going to create a committee out of that. I've already met with veterans here from our local VFW, who actually I believe they were American Legion, who are very interested in the project. So all that will be put together in along with a PowerPoint to present for capital improvements. So we'll have to get our local legislators involved in that also.
And I know those are all the tools, the components that Mr. Glover needs in order to be able to have those effective meetings to help advocate
Right.
for that particular project. So I'm glad that we've been able to do our homework and get him the tools he needs to be effective on our behalf.
Yes. And we're also going to look at getting private donors from throughout the township. That's going to be a big part of it also. So I think it's going to be a great project. You know, it's a great location right there next to the roundabout in the corner of Bechtold. It's going to be a nice project. Any questions on that?
Thanks for the update. 2 weeks on from when I'd asked about Mr. Glover, I saw there was a check in the packet to him and saw there's an invoice in there. The contract with him didn't actually require him to invoice. It required us to pay on the first of each month, and we weren't doing that. And that was part of my concern before. I just want to make sure there aren't any other obligations we may have out there that might be stacking up unpaid. Do we? Is a question.
There is not.
Okay, good. And I'm glad he's getting paid. Did he share any information with you in this meeting with you and Mr. Weedman? Handouts or anything? For
He
example?
did not. He is going to submit an update to me, though, and a third quarter, fourth quarter update that I will be giving out to everybody.
Great, thank you.
He has not given me anything yet, though. Well, we also talked about TIF extensions. As you know, unfortunately, we missed an opportunity for 30-year TIF extensions back in 20 and 21, without having Mr. Glover and some administration that wasn't particularly fond of TIFs. We were not aware that there was a 30-year extension that was offered. So we are going to try to work on that now and see if we can get our TIFs extended, because, as you know, that's a vital part of our budget. So Mr. Glover is going to work on that also.
Speaking of TIFs and the playground equipment that came up earlier, could we pay for that out of TIF funding? I know Westchester has been doing that for their
We
playgrounds.
can.
Okay.
That's how we always pay for it.
Very
Yes,
good.
sir.
All right.
But it still has to be appropriated.
Well, yes, of course.
So just also wanted to touch on something about the playground that Steve talked about. You know, I'd received a call last week from the HOA president of Sturbridge, who called, said that he was concerned about the safety of the playground. So this is basically why it was shut down. He called, said, I don't believe it's safe. We've got a lot of young kids in here. We've got a lot of parents that are lawyers. If somebody gets hurt, you're getting sued. Okay, well, we're shutting it down then, because if that's the way, if that's the message that we're getting, we're not, first of all, we don't want any kid to get hurt. But there was nothing dangerous about it. I mean, not being compliant with new playground rules and being dangerous are two completely different things. At first glance, if you went over there and looked at it, it's like, man, this is a nice playground. But, with the new compliance, and compliance rules change constantly. We could put a playground in today, and if compliance changes next year, it's not grandfathered. So you can be out of compliance that fast. So I had Jason Petty go over to perform an inspection. We sent Jason to school to become a certified playground inspector. Jason came back with a report that had a lot of things that were not compliant. It's not that it wasn't safe, but it was not compliant. So, that's when we made the decision to shut it down, and that is going to be torn down. If not starting this week, it will be next week. So, but the swing sets will stay open, and hopefully.
The unit on the end, right?
Hmm?
The unit on the end with the
The
rock
unit
climbing.
on the end will stay
Yeah.
open. The other one, the big toy, and then there's another one that you slide back and forth on. Those are both coming out. So we will end up. We met with somebody from the playground system, like Steve said today. And we'll be he's putting something together for us of things that are compliant. So the problem with it is because of the grade, as you know, that park there's not a level place really in the park. The grade that goes down makes it non-compliant to have any big toy like what's there now. So even if it was a brand new one, the fall of the grade would not be compliant. So we have to put in some smaller freestanding structures rather than a big one like that. So it's going to be a different type of playground than it is now. Because
Well, and I think that's
compliance has changed since we
Yeah.
installed that one.
I think that's important to note, that if the surface itself is going to make a vast majority of the really sexy, cool new playground equipment impossible to install there, I think there needs to be a cognizant recognition amongst everyone that what's going to be replaced there is probably not going to look like what was there before, but
Yes,
will
it's
be
not.
compliant and in accordance with today's standards. So I think managing some
Correct.
expectations there. I mean, number one, if it's not safe, we don't want kids getting hurt. And so
Right.
if closing it is the right thing to do based on what our certified playground inspector says, then that's the right and prudent move. And I appreciate that the staff was responsive to that and has already had someone out taking a peek and seeing what we can replace it with that will be compliant and safe. And we'll see what they come back with and what might make some sense. So thanks to your team.
Sure.
One other question about that. Would regrading the ground and putting up a retaining wall be cost prohibitive if that's something we do need to look at?
Well, it would probably be cost prohibitive. You'd have to build about a 4-foot retaining wall. So then you're either going to have to build additional retaining walls all the way down the slope and step down one wall at a time, or you're going to have to put up safety railing and ramps, and it's going to be cost prohibitive.
Okay.
So that's all I have, unless there's any other questions besides, Jeff, do you have the POs on here?
So we have the one from the packet, and then there was the add-on, so we'll do the one from the packet. I guess this is the...
Yes. So this is a PO for Park Utilities 23-25-2. This is for utilities for the park. So this basically, your gas, your electric, this also is what pays for park department's computers, and this is in the amount of $10,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Dieters.
Mr. James.
Aye.
Ms. Schwagman.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Anything else, Mr. Kellums?
I thought there was a second PO.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yes. So this is for the chief. This is the annual cot maintenance, 23-142, in the amount of $8,673.30, and this is out of chief's budget.
Motion to approve PO 23-142.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Dieters.
Mr. James.
Aye.
Ms. Schwagman.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
That's all I have, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dieters, fiscal officer report.
Yes, the township had cash receipts of $167,728.52. Disbursements of $832,705.64. A complete listing of the disbursements and the cash receipts is available in the packet.
Motion to approve.
Second. Just to double check, it's 64, not 68. I may have typed it wrong, but I thought I took it from the spreadsheet as 68.
It is 68. You are correct.
Do we need to remove?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Mr. Dieters.
Mr. James.
Aye.
Ms. Schwagman.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Trustee comments.
I just want to thank Steve. Great job on, I think we probably got done a little early on that Gideon Culvert project. Yeah, it looks great. Did you see it before they opened the road?
Yeah.
It looks awesome. You guys did a great job on there, so thank you. The other thing was I want to thank Jason Petty. He did a super job on the car show. We had 100 cars plus, and it was really a great event, so I want to thank him for that as well.
My favorite one was the ice cream truck.
It wasn't even an entry. It
Oh,
was
it
just
wasn't?
there.
I'm shocked.
Oh. Hey, that won the administrator's.
That got administrator's choice.
Administrator's choice. A separate
Special
trophy.
for that.
Oh, my goodness.
That's all I got.
My only comments are, again, thanks to Mr. Kelms, Mr. Riddleschoffer, and the entire team. I know that we've spoken a lot this evening about some of the things going on in the community and projects and the status of it and being responsive to residents, and I appreciate your responsiveness to the residents' concerns and issues and going out and tackling them. I know that I've heard from the residents that are appreciative that you do come out and you are that responsive, and we appreciate Ms. Bell coming this evening as well and sharing some concerns with her neighborhood. So we always like being responsive to our residents, and thanks to Jeff and John and Amy for doing a good job. So thanks for bringing that to our attention. So those are my only comments for this evening.
Yeah, and I'll ditto as to that. All the staff has been doing. I know there's a lot of stress in neighborhoods as paving work is going on too, and people get very worked up when they see what it looks like when it first goes down, and we all hear from them, and you do too. So thanks for managing all of that, Steve. Car show was a great success this year. Lots of people there. It's funny, I saw some pictures of it online too. The trustees were all there, and we were judging. We had a Trustees Choice Award. Someone posted this photo online, and it's so curious. I want to commend my fellow trustee on his technical skills here. And this one too, which is the overall winner. You wouldn't know it, but I'm in both these photos, and I was photoshopped out somehow, and it really did an injustice to Tracy's hair. That's.
Hey, enough
So-
with my hair. I have enough.
Well,
I have enough hair
mo-
drama.
most-
I don't need you adding to it.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, look-
No, thank you. Now the entire township knows that I have hair drama.
Most of it's gone, but my shoulder is still there next to you. So, Tom, why did you Photoshop me out and post that online?
Mr. James, I don't criticize you when you lie to our residents on your Facebook page, so I don't think there's any reason for you to suggest that it's my Facebook page, not yours. I can put on whatever I want,
You absolutely can.
And-
I don't lie to residents on mine. But
as far as we
just
know.
ask the question.
As far as we know. Okay.
All right, sir. Anyway, have a good couple of weeks, everybody.
Any other trustee comments? Okay, then other than that, for all other scheduled meetings and events, we encourage folks to go to our township website where they can see the published calendar. And without any other items on the agenda, I move to adjourn this meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 7:48.
All right.
All right.